Rebecca Coriam was born March 11, 1987, in Chester, England, to parents Mike and Anna Maria Coriam. She also had a sister named Rachel and two other siblings that were adopted. She was known for always being a hard-working woman who was involved in a lot of activities as a kid growing up. June 2010, she started working for the Disney cruise ship and was happy with her new job that allowed her to travel and have a lot of new experiences. After traveling with the ship for a certain amount of time and gaining a lot of new friends, her world came to a halt when her grandfather passed away, which caused her to return home for the funeral. After spending some time with her family and mourning the loss of her beloved grandfather, it was time for her to go back to work on the cruise. This would be the last time that Rebecca's family would see her. When returning to work, Rebecca messaged her parents, planning to check in with them a little later that day. But when the hours went past the time that Rebecca had promised to contact her parents, the family started growing concerned, being that not contacting people when she said she was going to was not a part of her nature. Her fellow co-workers grew concerned as well. She did not report for work that morning, and when they checked her room, along with other parts of the ship, but Rebecca was nowhere to be seen. After the crew members did their own search, the authorities were contacted and conducted an investigation. Rebecca's parents were flown in to the Bahamas to help with the search. When meeting with the detective that was assigned to Rebecca's case, the authorities raised the possibility that Rebecca could have accidentally gone overboard, in which more likely she would have never been found. There were several different people that claimed sightings of Rebecca, but when investigating the claims, they didn't get far. But there was one thing that piqued the interest of the investigators. On March 22nd, around 5:45 a.m., there was CCTV footage that was obtained showing Rebecca on an internal phone call appearing upset. But after she finished her phone call, the footage would be the last known visual of Rebecca. They claimed that this was footage from Deck 5, which would have been the location that one would be at risk of being swept away by a rogue wave. Rebecca's parents weren't happy with the cruise line, stating that the way that they participated in the investigation was very poor, and that they seemed to come to the conclusion that Rebecca had gone overboard very quickly. So they decided to hire someone themselves to assist in them finding their daughter. They hired private investigator Roy Ram, who was known for being very thorough and conducting complex investigations in order to bring justice or closure for the cases he was assigned to. It wasn't long after he began his investigation that he discovered that the CCTV footage that Rebecca's parents were shown had been cropped to hide the location and timestamp of the video. After demanding the raw, untouched footage, it was discovered that the location that the crew members claimed that Rebecca would have gone overboard was not where the footage was, and that she was on Deck 1, not Deck 5. But even with the discovery, the case went cold after a certain matter of time. The case was brought back to light when investigative journalist John Ronson took interest in the case. He went on the cruise ship and interviewed several crew members about the strange disappearance. The crew members were reluctant to speak much on it, but claimed that the cruise line knew more about what happened to Rebecca than they originally let on. But they were advised not to speak on it. But there was way more to Rebecca than Rebecca's parents, and the investigators knew. Rebecca was involved with another woman that worked on the cruise boat as well, a woman named Tracy Melody. After a long period of time, Tracy finally broke her silence and stated that around the time that Rebecca had gone missing, she was very emotional after the couple had a physical encounter with a male friend of Tracy's. Tracy believed that Rebecca was bothered and regretted sharing her lover with someone, and that it all became too much for her, which could have led to her jumping off the boat. But once again, this theory was challenged when Rebecca's parents noticed that several months after Rebecca's disappearance, the password on her Facebook account had been changed, and there was activity on her bank account. And even though there had been several different clues and pieces of evidence that would indicate that there was way more to the story than Rebecca taking her own life or simply falling overboard, to this day, the missing persons case of Rebecca Coriam is still unsolved.